Okay. Yeah, for the nitrogen cycle, and then you can refer to this note. Okay, I have sent this to the WeChat. Yeah, here is the notes for the nitrogen cycle. And then you can read from here. Okay, you can read from here. Read from here first, so you can see. So actually, you divide these nitrogen cycles into 3 phases: the nitrogen fixations, the nitrification, and the denitrifications. So for the nitrogen fixation, right? So what actually they're doing is they actually is a way, okay, they convert the gas, okay, the nitrogen in the gas form, which is the N2, right? The N2 is the nitrogen in the gas form, right? They are converting this N2 becoming what? Becoming the ammonium compound, which is this one, NH4 plus. Just remember that ammonium compound is a kind of iron, okay? It's a kind of iron. Before they can become the nitrates, which can be absorbed by the plants. Yeah. So this is called nitrogen fixation, which is, so you can see, right? The nitrogen gas, okay, they will undergo the nitrogen fixations, becoming the ammonium compound. So after that, okay, they will be undergo the, we call it this one, the nitrification, okay? This one nitrification, which is the process that the ammonium compounds is being converted into the nitrite, okay? So this is nitrite. Nitrite is this one, NITRITE. This one, TRITE, I, okay? You can see the I in the middle part. So this is NO2 minus. And then, so that's why the nitrite, right? Okay, they will further convert into become the nitrates. So here will be the nitrate, okay? ATRATE. So that's why the plant and the animal, right? Okay, they will absorb the nitrogen source in form of this form nitrate, okay, which is this NO3 minus. Yeah, so that's why the ammonium compound are converted into nitrite. So later the nitrite will be converted to become the nitrates by the nitrifying bacteria through the nitrification. Yeah, so this is how that they do in this way. Okay, but for information, you don't need to memorize about this one. This one you don't need to memorize, okay? About what nitrosomonas or nitrobacter, you don't need to know, okay? So you just need to know that, yeah, they convert into nitrate, right? Which is the NO3 minus. So that's why the nitrate ions, NO3 minus, will be absorbed by the plants, okay, to synthesize the proteins. Because the proteins is a kind of elements made from the nitrogen elements, right? So that's why they actually using the nitrate as a source to make the amino acid. So amino acid will become the protein later. So nitrification. Then how about the nitrogen fixation? Okay, the nitrogen fixation is they refer to the nitrates. Okay, the nitrate is taken out by the plant root and then convert become the plant proteins, right? So and then also when the animal eat the plants, the organic nitrogens, right, is being transferred into the body of the animal and then become the animal proteins. So once they die, okay, so once they die, the dead plant and animal, they will undergo the decompositions, okay, by the decomposer, which is the bacteria or the fungi, and then they will become the ammonium compound. So this is how that from the nitrogens, they become the ammonium compound through this process, nitrogen fixations. So you can see this is what the nitrogen fixing bacteria will do. Okay, example of nitrogen fixing bacteria, right? There will be the this one rhizobium, okay, rhizobium, but you don't need to memorize, okay? Because they will be, I mean, they're not asking you this in the questions. They just ask you about process. Yeah, so that's why this is a bacteria. They can convert this one atmospheric nitrogen, which is this N2, okay, nitrogen in the gas form, become the ammonium compound NH4 plus through the nitrogen fixation. Yeah, so you can see this equation, right? Yeah, here from the nitrogen gas by the bacteria, okay, become the ammonium compound. Yeah, so later the ammonium compound will become the this one ammonium compound, right? It will be undergo the nitrification, then become the nitrites, okay, and then become nitrates, also by the plant. So that's a process, okay. And then how about this one denitrifications? So you have the denitrifying bacteria break down the nitrates, right? Which is later they will return to become the return to the atmosphere and then become the nitrogen gas again. So this is called denitrification, which is they want to they want to convert the nitrate, right, become the gas in the atmosphere. Yeah, so that's why during the thunderstorm, right, the lightning caused the nitrogen gas and the oxygen gas combine to produce the nitrogen dioxide. So that's why the nitrogen dioxide, they can dissolve in the rainwater to form the nitrous acids or nitric acids. So the acid, they will react with the base and then they will form the nitrates. So this is how they can convert themselves, okay, from the nitrates become the nitrogen gas. So that's why they will have these three process. Okay, so when you look back to the example of question they ask you in the exam, right? So it's something like this. Okay, so you need to know that. Okay, and that's why you can see, right? From the nitrogen in the atmosphere, and then they go back. Okay, they go back to this. Okay, this compound X, right? This compound X, they are referred to what? They actually refer to the ammonium compound. Okay, ammonium compound. Actually, this is a ammonium compound, NH4 plus. Okay, this one is NH4 plus ammonium compound. So the compound X, right? So after that, the ammonium compound will become the nitrite, okay, which is the NO2 minus, and then become the nitrate, which is the NO3 minus. So this process is we call nitrification, okay, the process B. Yeah. So then from the nitrate ions in the soil, right, they will convert back, become the nitrogen in the atmosphere in the gas form. So there will be the denitrification, okay, there will be denitrification. And then from the nitrogens in the atmosphere, they need to convert back, become the ammonium compound or the nitrate again. So this is the process about the nitrogen fixations. Yeah. So how the nitrogen fixation they can occur is they will be carried out by the bacteria. Okay, so you can say that carried out by the bacteria, the nitrogen fixating bacteria in the root nodule. Okay, do you know where's root nodules? Root nodules are referred to here. The nitrogen fixing bacteria, they are found at here. Okay, so you can see right here is a nitrogen fixing bacteria, right? They are found at here. So this is called what? Root nodule. From the root part of the legume plant. Okay, so they will grow it at here, found inside this nodule. So they can carry out those processes, which is a nitrogen fixations. So you can see that the root nodule inside, they will have a lot of rhizobule as a nitrogen fixing bacteria. So they can convert the nitrogen, become the ammonium compound, which is this one. Yeah, so the process, denitrifications and the nitrifications, ammonia. Okay, that's all. And then don't forget about the deaminations. Okay, because exam they like to ask this kind of the questions related to nitrogens 他们喜欢问这种问题就是说跟 nitrogen 有关的这个问题。Okay, so that's why you need to know this one very clear. So you know the deamination, right? So just imagine this way. Deamination is the process as they remove the amino group from the amino acids. So this is the amino acid, right? Like this C and then COOH. And then there will be the R, okay, R and the H, O. And then the NH2, okay, NH2. So this is the structures in the amino acids. So what happened in the deaminations? Okay, at this one, deamination is being performed at which organs? So remember, which organs they can carry out the deamination? It's in the liver, okay? I hope you remember it. It's in the liver. Oh, you just said your homework. Okay. I think I will return to you in next class. Yeah, so it's a deamination happen in the liver. Remember, liver they can carry out various functions. Okay, they can carry out the deaminations, assimilations, metabolisms, which is they can convert the glucose become a glycogen, so the glycogen is stored inside liver. So this thing that you need to revise back. So actually they are actually remove this one. They remove away the I mean we call it amino group, okay, or sometimes we call it amine group. This one, amino group, or we call it amine group. Amine group. So later this they will become what? This amine group, right? After they've been removed, they will become the ammonia, which is NH3. And then ammonia is very toxic to our body, right? Yeah, this is NH3. It's super toxic to our body. Okay, so that's why ammonia is being produced inside the liver. So the liver, they can do what? They can do the detoxifications. So they can convert this toxic ammonia become less toxic urea. Okay, so that's why the liver will produce the urea. liver, they will produce a urea. So this process all happen in the liver. Only the kidney will excrete out the urea in the urine. Okay, so I hope you are very clear with it. Yeah. Okay. And then so we finished discuss about the nitrogen cycle, right? And then you need to know is the exam, right? Okay, including this year 2025, the main exam, they ask about this question. Okay, where is the source of the nitrogens, right? The two ways which is the nitrogen in the gas can be converted in become the usable form. Actually, they are referring to what? They are referring to the ammonia compound. So that's why you can say that it's nitrogen fixing bacteria. This one, which is a rhizobule, right? Yeah. So they can convert the nitrogen gas become the nitrates. And then second is a lightning. Okay, it's a lightning. This one lightning. So it will be these two sources. Okay. So just remember that the plant will absorb nitrogen in form of nitrate. Okay, A. So the middle part is A. Okay. So now we continue to discuss about the populations. So what is meant by populations? Population is they refer to a group of the organism of one species living in the same area at the same time. Okay, this refer to a group of the same species of the organism, right? Living at a particular area. So this is called as populations. And then what's different between population and community, right? Community is they refer to that there will be several species living together in that particular ecosystem. Just for example, okay, inside the forest, okay, forest is considered as the community because inside the forest, there will be different kind of the animals living in that forest. It will be the lions or tigers or the giraffe. Okay, a lot of different kind of animal species just living in that particular area. So this is called community. Okay, all populations in different species. So you can see is in different species living at that ecosystem. Okay, ecosystem. And then the ecosystem is defined as a unit containing a community of organisms and their environment interacting together. Okay, this one is like they refer to the different community of the organism. They just live together. Yeah. So okay, later I can show you a picture. How to differentiate the population, community, and ecosystem. Okay, so and then you need to study about the population growth, right? Because that all living organisms, they just compete with each other for foods, water, and the living space. Yeah, so that's why there'll be this few factor, okay? They can affect the population growth. So it means that if that area is lacking of the food supply, or there will be a disease outbreak occur. So this will cause a reductions in the population. It's because the living organism, they don't get enough resource to survive. Yeah. So sometimes later show some more questions how they ask. Okay. Then the population growth curve, right? You need to know about the growth curve. Okay. What's the growth curve? It's like when you grow a group of the microorganism in that fermenter, okay, and then you measure it over time. So you can see how the populations expand itself and then how them decline. Yeah. So and when you plot that into graph, it will become like in this graph. Okay. So there will be 4 phases in total. So starting from so here is the time. Okay, you have an x-axis and a y-axis, right? Oh. So here is a y-axis. Hey, where's my pen? Oh. Okay. Here is a y-axis. What happened to my pen? Yeah, here is a y-axis, here is the x-axis. Okay, so what happened to this x and y-axis is like the x-axis, right, they are referred to time, the time, and then the y-axis is they refer to the population size. The population size is becoming bigger or is shrinking in their size. So the time is they just go by the time, right? So starting from the lag phase, okay, later to the exponential phase, later to the stationary phase, and then later to the dead phase. So here will be the 4 phase. And then those growth curve, right, not only apply in the microorganism, but it also apply in the human population as well. Okay, so what happened in those 4 phase? So let's have a look on the lag phase. Okay, lag phase is like the organism, right, they're just newly introduced to that particular environment. So they are still need some time to adapt to the environments, okay, before they're able to reproduce, okay. So at this stage, right, they are newly adapted to the environments. Yeah, and then this in the lab phase, right, the organism number just very few only. So you can see just very few organisms, and then they are just adapt to the new environment. So that's why they are just like searching around, finding which place is suitable for them to become their own habitat. So that's why at this lag phase, right, why there will be why the number in the lag phase, which is the number of the organism in the lag phase, is very, very small in their number, is because they are just adapt to the environments. Yeah. So they haven't started to reproduce yet. So that's why they call it lag phase. Okay, and then now they enter to log phase. Log phase is like they already adapted to the environments after some periods already. So that's why, and then they can discover, wow, this place, right, they have an abundance of a food source. Okay, you have enough foods, water resource. You have enough food, right? Enough food resource or the water resource. And then you have enough space, okay, for them to make their own habitat. Yeah, so that's why the resource is abundant at this phase. So that's why the birth rate right now is rapidly, okay, which is the organism itself, they are able to survive, and then they can do the reproductions. Yeah, so they can produce a lot of baby. So that's why the birth rate is rapid. So that's why in the log phase, right, you actually see the surge rapidly increase in their population size. In the exponential, or sometimes we call it log phase. Log phase. Okay, so at this point, right, the birth rate is rapidly because they are constantly reproduce. Okay, just remember that organism itself, they only can survive, and then they can do the reproductions. So they can survive at this, at this environment, right? So later they can do the reproductions. So that's why the birth rate is rapid, and then the death rate is low. And now we go to the stationary phase. Okay, so here is the stationary phase. So stationary phase, right, you can see now the population size, right, okay, in the second phase, in the log phase, right, they are rapidly expanding their size. Okay, but what happened when they enter to stationary phase, right, they are just, it's not decline, but they just remain static already. They start to stun already, okay. So the population level out, okay, level out refer to, they start to the growth rate, right, become very, very slow. The growth rate is actually declining already due to the factor in the environments, such as the nutrients become limited as it is not being replenished, and then the birth rate and the death rate are equal. So it will remain until either the nutrient is replenished or becomes severely limited. So which is when the organism, they start to enter into this third phase, right, usually the resource is start to have limitations. So that's what we call limited resource. Okay, resource include of the food resource, or water resource, or the habitat. Okay, the habitat resource. Yeah. So why the resource have a limitation is because in the second phase, right, you are actually increasing your number of the organism, right? So when you increase the number of organism, but the source, right, it just the source is not too we call as the source itself. The source is referred to the food source, the water source. Yeah, and then their living space, right, they have some limitation. They are unable to meet the requirements of those growing populations. They cannot fix all of the demand. So that's why they have a limitation. So that's why they will become stationary phase. So some of the organism, right, they can obtain their source, okay, their food source, their water source, but some of organism, right, they cannot obtain their food source or water source. So that's why they die. Yeah. So at this phase, right, the birth rate and the death rate is just remain as equal. Okay. So until when they pass through the stationary phase, right, and then they reach the death phase. The death phase refer to populations. The population size itself, right, they just decline very rapidly. Yeah. Why is it so? It's because that the population decrease as the death rate now is greater than the birth rate. Because due to the resources, okay, the availability of the resources is declining. Okay, and then there's no replenish on that resource. So that's why it will cause a living organism living at that area, right? They don't get enough food, enough water, or they are just unable to survive, okay, because they don't get enough resource to survive. So that's why it will cause a death rate, right? Now they just exceed the birth rate. So they refer to more organisms, they just die instead of they are being born. Yeah. So that's why it will lead to the population start to decrease. So you can see, right? So you can just use this word, okay? Decrease. Whenever you just describe it, use a decrease word. Oh, the decrease. So what is the limitation? Okay, due to the food supply is short, and then they will be built up in the toxins or the waste in the surrounding environments. Yeah. Okay, so here will be the 4 phase. Okay, 4 phase. Yeah, so organisms in the natural environments are unlikely to show population growth like in the sigmoid growth curve because they are affected by many of other factors, including those factors. Okay, so this factor you need to, I'm not asking you to memorize, but at least you need to know because you can include this in your exam, especially paper 4. Okay, so those are the because limitations. The factor can affect the population growth. Okay, including disease. Something there's a disease outbreak happen in that population, so they will be cause a lot of living organisms they just die, and also predator. Okay, predator, right? Increasing number of predators, so they will cause the animals, right? It will cause the predator just eat on the prey, so it will reduce in the prey number. Even though changing in their environments, which is the temperature of light, they can also affect their population size. Okay, so like this, okay. We finished already. Okay, and then moving to here, chapter 20. Okay, I just very fastly to go through this chapter 20 with you because chapter 20, right, usually they will come out in the paper 4 and then in a very short question. Okay, in a very short question. So in this chapter 20, right, we'll discuss about what? We'll discuss about how the human activity will impact our biodiversity. So here is example of the we call as a human the implications due to the human activity, right? So they will cause those happen. Okay, so what's meant by intensive food productions? Okay, because right, at this well, okay, nowadays our population, the humans population is just growing. So if we, I think from about 7 billion, now it's 7 billion, right? 7 billion. Okay, and then there's further grow into the 8 billion like this. So that's why you are increasing in the number of the people, right? So that's why due to the increasing in the human populations, and then humans what they do, they need to eat a lot of food, right? So that's why you need to increase the food production also. So that's why you have this intensive food productions. Intensive means that they can produce a large amount of food in a system, in an intensive system. So you can see they're referring to they produce the food more efficiently with a finite amount of land and other resource. So this is called what? Finite amount. Finite amounts means that the resource, right? The lands, any kind of resource, they have a limitations. So the modern technology, they have increased the food supply sustainability. So what they do is the food source, right, including the plant-based food source, okay, which is the rice or the corn or any kind of plant-based food source, and also the animal-based food source, okay, like the chicken and the pork that you eat every day, right? So that's why how the modern technology they can do is they will use this machinery, okay. They invent a lot of machinery. So this machinery, right, they can replace some of the repeating human work. So this is to improve their efficiency, okay. And then they use the chemical fertilizer. So you can see that this chemical fertilizer, they can improve the yield by increasing the availability of soil nutrients, which is they can make the soil become better for the plantations. So that's why the plant they can grow larger and then they produce more fruit. However, the fertilizer, okay, this fertilizer, right, they can bring out negative impact to the environment, including this insecticide and the herbicide. Okay, so even though they just kill the unwanted insect and the weed species, right, but they can bring the impact to the environment. So later we can see how they cause the effect to the environments. And then you have the selective breeding, okay, selective breedings to produce a breed of animal and the crop varieties. They can produce a high yield. So at this one, this is our aim. This is our aim, okay. why you need to do the selective breeding for those animal and plant? Because we want to produce a product which is very high yield. High yield means what? High yield means it can grow very fast. It has very rapid growth rate. Okay, rapid growth rates. So if they can grow very rapidly, right? So this is beneficial for us because we can, I mean, in a short time, okay, in just a short time, we can have we can have a large amount of the products being produced, including the food product or also the animal-based food products. Yeah. And then here is example A, okay? So how the resource is being invested and implemented to maximize the yield production of the crop. So you also have the intensive livestock farming, okay? What's meant by livestock? Livestock is they refer to the animals, okay? Animals, they will be bred for the human food purpose. For example, the chicken, okay? For example, the pork or the beef, right? So this is called livestock farming. So how they rear the livestock, okay? And so I have a look on this picture. Okay, see? This is called as what? We call as the intensive livestock farming. Okay, so you can see, right? This is, what is this? You want to have a guess? It's a chicken, right? Okay, it is we call as a broiler chicken, which is, this chicken is made from the KFC, okay? Yeah, or the chicken meat they eat every day. Yeah, so they are just reared in this kind of system, okay? We call it intensive livestock system. They are just reared intensively. So they just enclose about 20,000, 30,000 of the chicken in that particular area, in that small area, and then they provide them with the food, okay, the water, and then with the space. So the chicken, they just grow very fast. Yeah. And then after that, they can harvest the chicken. Okay, you understand what I mean? So intensive farming or livestock, they are actually increasing the energy efficiency by reducing the energy input in relation to yield. So usually they just keep the livestock in a very small area. So that's why they can maximize, okay, they can maximize the space and the resource. Yeah, so reducing the energy that animal put into the movement. So that's why this energy can be instead to use for growth. Okay, and this means what? This means that why they enclose the birds, right? This one. Why they enclose this chicken in such a very small area? Why they are not allowing the chicken to run? I mean, why they are not allowed to rear the chickens in a very, because open area? So the chickens, they can run here and run there, right? At least they can have a more space, right? They have more space to explore their activity. But why they just enclose them in such a small area? So it's something called intensive. So it's because that they want to allow the chicken, right? So after the chicken eat, drink, they just sit down and rest. Okay, so when they sit down and rest, right, they will save their energy. Okay, so the energy they can just convert, become their meat, or their fats. Okay, because they worry that if the chicken is being exposed to the larger area, right, so the chicken will be running here and there, so that's why they will cause some of the energy is being lost during movements and excretions. OK， 你会明白我在讲什么吗？
Yeah.
OK， 明白哦。yeah. Okay, so this is called intensive livestock farming. And then and then this one, feeding animal with high energy foods. Okay, so more energy is gained per unit of food digested. So this means like what? Okay, which is when you rear the chicken, right? You give the chicken to eat the requires饲料, okay, 饲料 we call animal feed. And then this animal feed, right, is being designed with a high protein or high fat, high energy, we call it animal feed. So this is ensure the chicken, okay, they just grow very fast because they get sufficient nutrient, right? So that's why they can grow very fast. So we want them to grow very fast. So that's why we can harvest them in a very short time. Okay, and then we get more, we call it ROI, return of investments. And then sometimes we'll give these medications such as antibiotic as a preventive measure against the disease. It's because that when you rear the chicken in a very enclosed environment, right? So just an enclosed environment. So just imagine yourself, or if yourself is being placed in a very enclosed environment together with another humans, right? So what will happen to you? You will be very stressed, right? 对吧？你会觉得很压力 ，okay, very stressed because you are lacking of space. Even though you are being provided with sufficient amount of food and water, but you are lacking of space. You don't have space to explore yourself. So you become very stressed. And then, so this is called intensive production, okay? Just rear the animals, right, in a very small enclosed area. Not only in the chicken, but it also apply in other kind of animal like in the pig, okay? Pig and 牛、羊等等也是一样的方式。Yeah, so that's why if there's any disease outbreak, right, it can be easily spread out to whole populations because there's no barrier between the animals. So that's why you need to give them the medication to treat them against the disease. Okay, and then you need to keep the animals in the artificially warm environment so the animals expend less energy regulating the body temperature. Okay, this is mean by what? This is mean by this one. Okay, see, artificially warm environments. Okay, so take for example. Okay, if you rear a chicken, okay, a house of a chicken like this. Okay, and then I tell you chicken is very scared of cold. 鸡很怕冷的 okay? So that's why you need to maintain a very stable temperature. So you need to provide the chicken. You need to design your chicken house right with a very warm, stable temperature. So your chicken will not getting chilled. So if the chicken getting chilled, what will happen is they will be susceptible to the disease because they are being stressed. So this is called artificially warm environment. So sometimes, right, you can see, right, there's a light. Oh, it's not shown in this picture. Okay, let me show you example picture. Intensive livestock production. Okay, for example, in the broiler. Okay, the chicken reared for the meat, right? They call it broiler. Yeah, so you can see, there's lightning here, right? 你看吗？灯光 lightning. Yeah. So why they provide the lightning to the chicken is because they want to provide something like the warm, okay, warm, and also they want to allow the chicken to see in their surrounding. So this is called intensive livestock farming. Yeah, so the advantage, okay, what's the advantage of the intensive livestock farming? So you have a lesser land, okay? Lesser land is required to produce a large amount of food. So that's why you save your resource, okay? You can save your resource because you are just using less land. Sometimes, right, they want to save the space, the lands. So that's why they sometimes, okay, they will build about few layer of the chicken house, okay? So the chicken house, right, they will have the top layer and then the bottom layer. Okay, about 我们讲2层 okay, something like a double layer story like that. Okay, so that's why you can save the lands, and then the food can be produced all year around in the controlled environments. Okay, so that's why you can ensure there's a continuous supply of the food because this is very important. And then the cost of production is lower, so the food can be sold at a cheaper price. So why they are doing this intensive livestock farming is they can, by this way, right, okay, they can control their resources, very easily. So that's why actually in the economic view, right, if you want to rear the animals for the food production, it's better to rear them in like this system, intensive system, not something like the free range system. You know, free range system is something like they will allow the animal, right, to just request free range. The animal that they can explore themselves in a very large area of their living space. So if they have this request free range system, right, so it will have some kind of the request issue. You raise some of the issue and concern because you are unable to control them, and then you waste up your resources. Okay, so what's the disadvantage of the intensive livestock farming? So they will have the ethical issue. Okay, they will raise ethical issue because when you see the animals, right, they just raise in such environments. Is it ethical? Okay, so they will have something like the animal welfare issue. So that's why they are still working on that. Okay, how to like rear the animals in the system, but they also concern on their animal welfare by providing them with enough space food and the water. So avoid them to become too stressed. Because a lot of animals, right, they just rear in this intensive production system. Usually they are being facing is animal is become very, very stressed. When they become very stressed, right, they can be prone to disease. And then when they're prone to disease, right, the food productions, I mean, you are unable to produce a too high quality food. So you can reduce the quality of the food productions. Okay, and then the natural habitat may be destroyed to maximize the land available for keeping livestock. So this is no choice. Okay, you need to destroy the natural habitat just to establish your own farm. Okay, your own poultry farm or pig farm. And then it will cause a reduction in the biodiversity in area where the large amounts of the lands are being used to graze the cattle. Okay, as only the grass is grown, so the effect become monoculture. For example, like if you want to have we call it as a cattle farming, right? And then the cattle eat a lot of grass. So that's why you need to cut off the forest, okay? And then you need to establish your own cattle. I mean your cattle farm, and then you need to grow the grass. And then the cattle only eat that specific grass species. So that's why you only can grow that grass species. So this will become a monoculture. What's a monoculture? Monoculture is they only planting one type of crop in that farming area. Okay, so which is monoculture. Actually, they are actually reducing the biodiversity, because in the biodiversity, right, we are actually encouraging the increasing the variety of the plant species. But monoculture, you only plant their own their own one type of the plant or the crop. So we are actually reducing the biodiversity, which it will bring the bad effect to the natural environments. So that's why, and then overgrazing can lead to soil erosions. And then large amount of cattle, right, they can produce a large amount of methane. Only methane. Because like the cattle, they will excrete out the feces. And then the feces of cattle, like, they just look like this, okay? I hope you don't feel very disgusting, okay? Cattle feces actually look like this. And then it's a great source of the methane, like this. So this is a feces of cattle. It's just very wet, moist, right? And then they can emit out we call it methane gas. Methane gas is CH4, okay? This is methane gas. And then it's a kind of greenhouse gas. So you can see that. So they just claim that the ruminant productions, the ruminant livestock production is contribute a significant amount of the methane to the greenhouse. And then it will cause the global warming effect. Okay, so here is an example of the so due to the manure, okay, the manure of feces producing by the cattle itself. So methane is a kind of greenhouse gas, just same to the carbon dioxide. Okay, just same to carbon dioxide. And then the waste excreted by the livestock, right, they can be washed into waterway, causing the water pollutions. Actually, this is true also, because you just imagine yourself, you have your own cattle farming, right? Then every day you're going to wash the cattle feces, right? And then the cattle feces, they'll be washed to the waterway, and then they'll be sold to the river, and then you cause the river pollution. Okay, so now we talk about the monoculture. Monoculture is, they only grow the one type of crop. So the advantage is what? The advantage is they can increasing the efficiency, okay, or reduce the labor cost. Because you need to plant the certain plant species, right? And then you will invest, okay, you will invest on some machine. So you help to reduce your work loss for the planting, weeding, and harvesting. So that's why you can improve your production efficiency. This one. And then focusing on a single crop, they can allow farmers to optimize the condition for their specific crop, resulting in higher yield. And this is true for them because they just only focus on that crop only. So that's why they will try. They're trying their best to increase the yield of the certain crop. Okay, so what's the disadvantage? See, reducing biodiversity, because you only have one variety of plant in that big area. You just have one variety of plant. Okay, so this will reduce their food choice. Okay, will provide the food for the few species of herbivore, so they cannot be support more than few predator species. because they only have that one crop species at the area, right? So maybe some of the animals, right, they don't eat that species of the crop. So that's why it will cause a reduction in their population. Okay, because they cannot support the more than a few predator species. And then another issue is monoculture, right? They can increase in the pest populations. Okay, if a particular pest feed on the crops, farming it in a large areas means that there will be ample supply of food for the pests, causing population to increase. For example, what's mean a pest? Pests are the pests. Okay, you heard about the term, right? Pest control. Pest is they refer to something like the rats, snake, okay, and then other kind of pests. Yeah, beetle. Okay, those are the pests. Okay, so pests usually they will cause the harmful effect to the crop production because some of the pests, right, they can eat on the plant. And then because you want to protect that species of the, you want to protect that crop production, right? So you need to apply the insecticides to the crop to control the pests. So this will lead to the harmless insect being killed as well. So for example, right, you want to kill that, what kind of insect you want to kill? Which is you just apply the insecticide to kill the white ant, okay, white ant to eat on the crop, okay, but the insecticide also kill the snail as well, okay, and then you can call pollutions by the pesticide, and then you have the pesticide resistance because when some of the plants, right, they are being applied with the pesticide for such a long time, slowly they will develop resistance toward that pesticide, just like the antibiotic resistant. Yeah, so that's why some of chemical they are being used locally for the specific pest, and then the pest will become resistant to them, reducing the effectiveness of that pesticide. Okay, and then this graph I show you about what? This graph showing about the palm oil. Okay, palm oil. You know what's meant by palm oil? Palm oil is a type of crops, usually being grown in country such as Malaysia, which is my country, and Indonesia. So the palm oil, right, usually they are being processed to produce oil. Okay, the oil, right, they can become the petrol. So that's why it's a very highly valuable crops. Okay. Where's Uyang? Oh. Not sure where he go. Suyang, are you there? I'm not sure. Okay, you are there, right? Okay. I thought it just go away. Yeah. So palm oil is often grown in the monoculture. So production has increased rapidly over the last 30 years. So this showing about what? This showing that the population grow for the in these two countries, okay, Malaysia and Indonesia. They just grow the oil palm plantations. Yeah. So you can see from the 10 tons, right, and then slowly grow become 40 tons. Yeah. So which is this one? Okay, this is the palm oil productions. It's a kind of crop, and then this crop, right, is very highly valuable. Is because they can produce the oil, and then the oil can be processed to become the petrol, and then they can sell to another company. Oh, sorry, sell to another country. So this is a type of monoculture. Okay, so for the exam purpose, you need to know the disadvantage and the advantage. So later I'll show you example of the exam questions. Okay, and then for this one, importance of the biodiversity. Okay, biodiversity. Okay, this one you just need to know is just like different species at that area. So the reason of is because due to the increasing in human populations, this is their main reason. Yeah, because you are increasing in human population, right? You actually you need to meet their demand for the food for the food. So that's why you need to destroy a lot of habitat just to grow the food source. Yeah. And then many habitat is being destroyed by the humans to make the space for other economic activity. And then this will cause a pollution happen. Yeah, okay. So this one you can have a read, okay. You just read through only, okay. No need to memorize. You just need to know about some of the words, and then you can become the answer in the paper form. For example, right, the clearing of land for farming and house. So what will cause is it will cause this one. Okay, due to the deforestation, okay, deforestations, and then extraction of natural resource, Yeah, for example, mining, okay, mining. And then marine pollutions, right? They cause what? Yeah, these are eutrophications. Yeah, eutrophications. Okay, so now we talk about the deforestations. Yeah, so this is the effect on how the human activity impact on the environments. So first we talk about deforestation. Okay, deforestation is you just clearing of the trees. Yeah. So if the tree is replanting by is the tree are replaced by replanting it, it can be a sustainable practice. So that's why after you chop off the tree, right, you need to replant them to ensure they have a to ensure the sustainability of the environments. So generally the tree are being cleared for the land to be used in different way. For example, the purpose is what? You need to build them building, grazing for the cattle or planting of any kind of monoculture. Yeah, so this is the reason that why you need to chop off the tree. Yeah, so that's why it will cause the effect. Okay, you need to know about this effect. Okay, I just put a star here. Yeah, the effect. So it will cause the extinction of species. Okay, a loss of soil, and then you call flooding, and then you can increase the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It's because the plant itself. Okay, plant is the great carbon dioxide absorber. You know that plant they will absorb the carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, right? Yeah, so that's why by this way they can help to remove some of the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So now you chop off the plant. When you chop the plant, there will be no plant help to absorb the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So this will lead to the accumulation of the carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere, and then this will lead to greenhouse effect. Yeah, so here is the example of the so you can see, right? Yeah, so what is the picture? Okay, and also sometimes the question they will give you they will give you a picture, and then you need to answer the question from the picture. So for example, this is showing about what? Flooding due to what? Due to the soil erosions. Soil erosion due to what? Deforestation, right? Yeah, so this example it. Okay, so this is the effect. Okay, loss of biodiversity, soil erosions, flooding, increasing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Okay, this one you need to know. Okay, you need to know. I just put a star here. Okay, I think you can read by yourself. Yeah, this is not too. You don't need to memorize. I just need to read first. Read, understand, and then you can write your own sentence. Later I'll show you the exam. Okay, the exam questions. And then for this one, okay, now we talk about the water pollutions. What's meant water pollution is the untreated sewage of the excess fertilizer. The sewage, right? They are referring to the waste product produced from the factories. Okay, so usually due to the human activity. Yeah. Okay, so the pollution where they come from, they just come from the industry and manufacturing process waste and discarded rubbish chemicals from the farming practice. So all those waste products they just flow into your river or sea. Okay. So that's why this is the untreated sewage due to what? Due to lack of sewage treatments from the factories. So that's why the sewage, right? They just enter to the river or streams. So this will cause an increasing in bacteria because it will encourage the growth of some bacteria, right? Because the bacteria they just like those nutrients from the sewage. So when the bacteria grow, it will compete the organism with the water. I mean, when the bacteria they just overgrow, right? So they will compete the oxygen source, okay, with other living organisms growing in the water. So because they just consume a lot of oxygen, so this will cause the living organism live in the sea, okay, live in because aquatic organism, right? They are unable to get enough oxygen, so this will kill them. Okay, this will kill them, and then slowly the bacteria they can just grow more and more, and then they will cause algae growth also. So it causes eutrophications. Okay, eutrophication. And then the fertilizers is it will cause an algae bloom. So this is the effect. Okay, algae bloom it will cause what? It will cause the oxygen depletions, and then this will death of the aquatic organism. So later I will discuss with you what's meant by eutrophication later. And then methane. Okay, methane is due to what? Cattle farming. Okay, cattle farming and the landfill. Okay, so this is the account of greenhouse gas. So they can cause the global warming or climate change. Same to the carbon dioxide. So usually carbon dioxide is due to the open combustion. Yeah, the open combustion or sometimes burning of the fossil fuel or the tree. Okay. So this one, I just put a star here. You need to know the cause of the pollutants and then how is the effect. Okay, how is the effect? So as I like to ask this kind of question and then you should answer how it contributes to the effect to the ecosystem. And now we talk about the eutrophication. What I mean by eutrophication is they referring to the runoff fertilizer from the farmlands, okay, from the factories or the farm. Okay, usually from the farm fertilizer, they just enter to the water, and then it will cause an increasing growth of the algae. Okay, algae is a kind of the protista. Okay, you know, algae is a protista. A type of protista which contain the chloroplast inside their content. So that's why algae, if they get a lot of nutrients, they'll grow very fast. And then algae, because it contains the chloroplast, right? So it means what? It means they can do the photosynthesis. Algae is what? Qingtai, okay? I think you see qingtai before in the water. So that's why the water will appear green if there's an algae grow inside the water. So that's why you have the algae bloom. If you have a lot of request fertilizers, okay, to the algae, you call it algae bloom. So this is called algae bloom. Just overgrow of the algae. So algae bloom, okay, they will cause what? They will block the sunlight. They will, because they just grow like this way. See, this is about algae bloom. This is actually water, but why this water just turn green? Because there's a growth of algae on the surface. Okay, on the surface. So why there's an algae bloom is because the algae, they can do the photosynthesis due to the we call it chloroplast. Yeah, chloroplast. So whenever the sunlight, right, they just shine on the water surface which contain the algae. So the algae will just grow very fast. Yeah, they grow very fast and then reproduce themselves and grow again. So they become this algae bloom. So whenever there's an algae bloom on the water surface, right, like this, okay, a very thick layer of algae bloom. So they can block, okay, they can block the sunlight penetrate into the underwater. Algae bloom block the sunlight. So that's why the sunlight unable to reach underwater. Okay, so this will cause the okay, like this. So you can see this is what the algae bloom will do. Yeah, so that's why they can block the sunlight. Okay, and then what will happen is they will cause the underground living organism, they are unable to get the sunlight. Okay, so they'll cause the underground plants, right, to die because they don't get the sunlight. And also another thing is, see, water plant on the bottom start to die. Yeah, they cannot get the sunlight, they cannot get the nutrient because algae just compete the nutrient with them. So as a water plant and the algae die in the greater number, right? So this will increasing in the decomposing bacteria in the number, and then they can use up the dissolved oxygens. Because a lot of bacteria, right, when they grow when they just grow below the algae, right, usually they are, we call it anaerobic bacteria. Okay, so this anaerobic bacteria, right, they can grow in the absence of the oxygens. Why there's a growth of the anaerobic bacteria is because, okay, it's because that the decompositions, okay, the decomposition happens due to the die water plants and the algae. It will do decompositions. So that's why it will encourage the growth of the bacteria. So this bacteria, right, they just can grow and then they can respire. Okay, they can respire itself alveolically, and then they can use up the dissolved oxygen in the water. So that's why it will cause the dissolved oxygen in the water, right, to be reduced. So if there's less oxygen dissolved in the water, so it will cause the aquatic organisms such as fish and the insect, right, unable to breathe, and then they will die because they don't get enough oxygen, because oxygen is being used up by the bacteria to carry out the decompositions. Okay, so this is a very clear, very clear picture, right, showing about, yeah. So here is the algae bloom. Okay, algae blooms, so they can block the sunlight penetrate into the underground plants. So that's why they will just die. Okay, so together with the plants or algae or any other species, animals just living underwater, they die, right? And then they will have a decomposition happens. Yeah. So that's why the decompositions happen. They will encourage the growth of the algae bacteria. So this algae bacteria, they just can consume a lot of oxygen, right, from the water. So this will reduce the dissolved oxygen in the water. Okay, so that's why they can cause a lot of living organisms. They don't get enough oxygen and then they will die. Yeah, so you can see why the fertilizer can contribute to the algae bloom is because the fertilizer itself, right, is a fertilizer, is a great source of nutrients. Inside the fertilizer, right, they consist of what? Nitrogen and the phosphorus. Yeah, so that's why this nutrient can cause increase in the phytoplankton or cause algae. Yeah, so that's why they'll cause the overgrowth of them. Okay, and then this is the sequence. Okay, yeah. First, you have an excessive nutrient from the fertilizers, flow from land into the water, and then what you do is the aquatic plants will growing rapidly, and then the algae also have the rapid growth. Okay, the algae which is on the surface. Usually, algae is just floating on the water surface, and then you have an algae bloom. Yeah, so algae will just block the sunlight from reaching the aquatic plants. Okay, so and then the water oxygen level will fall. And then you have a decomposition because the plant die already, plant and algae die already. So you have the algae respirations of the decomposer. So algae respiration by a lot of decomposer, which is a bacteria. Okay, they can use up the oxygen. So they can further reduce the oxygen level, and then you can have death of other living organisms due to the decreasing in the dissolved oxygen in the water. They don't have oxygen. They don't get enough oxygen, so they die. Okay, just didn't get enough oxygen. And then now we'll talk about this one, plastic pollutions. Okay, what's plastic pollution? It's a very common issue. So at the you use a lot of plastic in your daily life, right? A lot of plastic. You know about microplastic. Okay, plastic, what they do is due to their non-biodegradability. This one, what do you mean by non-biodegradability? Non-biodegradability means that the plastic unable to decompose itself in the nature. Because plastic is an inorganic compound, something like the inorganic compound, right? It is is due to the artificial resource. So that's why it's because the plastic itself unable to decompose in the nature. So that's why when you left a plastic in the area, right, about just 100 years pass by, the plastic will still remain as a plastic. So that's why it cause what? It cause a lot of issue because animal, right, they just try to eat plastic and then they become caught in it, and then this will lead to injury and death. So that's why now a lot of restaurants they just banning. They just ban on the because of drinking straw made from the plastic, right? They already ban it. So now you will not see the drinking straw made from the plastic already. So they will use other kind of resource, for example, like bamboo, any other kind of resource, which is natural. So that's why when the plastic break down, right, you also release the toxins. So these toxins, they can affect the marine organism. So one is being broken down into very small pieces. It is commonly ingested by the animals, and then it will re-enter the food chain again. So you can imagine, right, the plastic, okay, they just being deposited in the river, okay, and the river or the sea, and then the fish itself, they just eat the plastic, and then the farmer go to catch the fish, and then the fish is being sold to the consumer, which is and then they will go back to our they'll go back to our to our dinner table, right? So it's like you can just imagine the fish itself inside they contain the microplastic. So it's like, and then you eat the fish, and then you eat the microplastic again. Yeah. So this is how they enter back to our food chain. Okay, so this is in the marine, okay, marine, and then how about in the land part? The plastic is generally disposed of burying in the landfill. So a lot of people, right, what they are doing is they want to decompose. They want to dispose of plastic. So how they dispose it? They just burn it. Seriously, they just burn it. Or sometimes they just bury it in the landfill. And then plastic, because it is a chemical substance, okay. So whenever you just burn the plastic, okay, with a fire. So it will produce toxic gas. Or sometimes if you bury the plastic in the landfill, right, so it will release the toxins. See, it will just release the toxins, to the surrounding soil. And then the land is not good for growing crops and grazing animals. Yeah, so this will cause the soil, right, become not suitable for growing any crops or animal, because there's toxin accumulate inside the soil. Yeah, so this is very dangerous, okay, the plastic pollution. And then how about this one, the air pollution, okay? The air pollution refers to the greenhouse gas, the methane and the carbon dioxide. So both gas, what they are doing is they just insulate the earth, right, and then the earth then gets around the atmosphere. Okay, maybe I'll just show you what's about greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gas is this one. So you can just imagine, right? Yeah. Maybe I should show this picture. Yeah, see. So what's the greenhouse effects? It's because that the earth, the surface of earth, right, is being covered. It's not covered, it's being surrounded. Okay, surrounded by a layer. Requires what? This one. Okay, see, a protective atmosphere, okay? Atmosphere. So some of the infrared radiation, right, they just pass through the atmosphere, and then some are being absorbed and be emitted in all directions by the greenhouse gas molecule. So the effect of this is to warm the Earth's surface and the lower atmosphere. Yeah. So this atmosphere, right? Okay. Oh, okay. I just remember it called as what? Ozone layer. Okay, ozone layer. Yeah. So this ozone layer, they actually they can protect the Earth's surface from the sunlight radiation. Because the sunlight, they have a solar radiation, right? Yeah. So most of the radiation is being absorbed by the Earth's surface and then warm it. Okay, and then some of the infrared radiation is being emitted by the Earth's surface. So this is called greenhouse gas. Okay, greenhouse gas. So what the carbon dioxide and the methane will do? Okay, so you can see, so these two gas, right? They just insulate the Earth, and then they act as a blanket around the atmosphere. So higher level of both have led to global warming and climate change. Because this greenhouse gas, what they can do, they can trap the heat in around the Earth. Yeah. So that's why what kind of human activity they can increase the level of the both gas in the atmosphere. For example, burning of fossil fuels, keeping of livestock. Okay, especially the cattle farming, they will generate a lot of methane gas from their feces. So that's why this global warming, they can melt the subpolar regions. These are permafrost in the subpolar regions. So result in the more trapped methane being released to the atmosphere. Okay, it's because that due to the human activity, it's no matter it's a open combustions, burning of fossil fuels, or you just rear the cattle farming, right? You actually emit a lot of greenhouse gas, and then this greenhouse gas will be released to the atmosphere, trapped in the ozone layer. Okay, so just imagine that this ozone layer, right? They just trap the greenhouse gas. So they will absorb a lot of heat. Okay. Where is it? Yeah, they can absorb a lot of heat. So that's why they can increase because the temperature. We call it a global warming. Okay, and then lead to climate change. Yeah. So this one you can have a read. Okay. Actually, we have divided greenhouse effects into two ways. One calls greenhouse effects, another one calls enhanced greenhouse effects. Okay, the greenhouse effects refer to what? It refer to that you can see the long wave radiations is given off by the Earth, right, due to the protective ozone layer. And then the short wave radiation, right, from the sun, they just pass through the atmosphere. They can pass through the ozone layer and then reach the Earth's surface. And then some of the heat, right, is being absorbed by the greenhouse gas. So here is a greenhouse gas. And then what's meant by enhanced greenhouse effects? Due to the less long wave radiations escape from the atmosphere, and then the short wave radiation from the sun, right, they can just pass through the atmosphere, and then it will cause more heat to absorb by the greenhouse gas, which is the methane and the carbon dioxide. And then this will increase the amount of greenhouse gas trapped in the ozone layer, okay, which is around our atmosphere. So that's why it will cause the overall, okay, the environment temperature become hotter and hotter. I'm not sure others will. do you realize that now the weather is being changed? It is already changed. So the weather change due to what? Climate change, right? So the weather is become hotter and hotter. So this will cause the effect, okay? Effect including of what? Including of the melting, okay? Melting of the ice, okay, in the subpolar regions, and then they will increase the sea water level. Okay, so just remember that the greenhouse gas due to what? Due to the gas, okay, the gas, they can insulate the earth, and then they can help to trap the heat, okay, around the atmosphere. So the source of greenhouse gas, is due to the human activity, okay. So here's an example of the human activity. And then for this one, okay, sustainable use of resources. Okay, we need to ensure our resources is being sustainably being used, okay, because we will not want the resource is being depleted one day. It's not that it's not beneficial to us, right? If the resources being depleted. So that's why we need to ensure the resource is being provided sustainability. So that's why they can continue to feed on these growing human populations. So a sustainable resource is referred to one which is produced as rapidly as it is removed from the environment so that it does not run out. So for example, the fossil fuel, okay, fossil fuel, they are the non-renewable resource. Okay, so that's why whenever the resource, right, cannot be produced anymore, they need to be conserved by reducing the amount of reuse, or we can find another sustainable resource to replace them. Yeah, so that's why the fossil fuel, okay, is a kind of the non-renewable resource. Okay, what's meant by fossil fuel? Fossil fuel is referred to this one, okay, the natural gas, the oil, the crude oil, the coal, the charcoal, okay, just underground. Yeah, so they become as an energy source. So that's why they are the raw material for many other products we make. So almost all of plastic, they are made start with the oil as a raw material. I'm not sure do you know that. You know the plastic, right? The plastic is just manufactured from the oil. Okay, oil will be the raw material to make the plastic. Yeah. So some of product, right, especially those from paper, plastic, glass, or metals can be reused and recycled. So this will reduce the waste in the environment and reduce the amount of the raw material and energy needed. Yeah, so that's why you know the petroleum, okay, the petrol that we fuel our car every day, right? So the petrol is from what? From the petroleum oil. So the petroleum oil is also an example of fossil fuel. So that's why we know that fossil fuel is a non-renewable resource. So that's why scientists, the scientists nowadays, right? They are finding from another alternate source for the car. So that's why they come out with what? They come out with the car, okay, which is generated by the electricity, not by the fuel, right? For example, in the Tesla. Yeah, so that's why they are finding more and more renewable source. So I think that's why, I mean, in your generation, right, maybe you can see a car operate due to the natural resource, okay, by using the solar power or by using the hydropower. Yeah, it's actually possible, okay, because they are want to replace them with the renewable resource, not a non-renewable resource. Okay, and then this one is okay, this one is not so important, but just read by yourself. Okay, what I mean by sustainable productions example? Okay, they want you to write an example. The example is what? Okay, it's like development operating for the needs of the increasing human populations without harming and the environments. So the need for the local people to be utilize the resource they have in their immediate environments with the need of the large company to make to make the money from the resource such as forest and the fish, which is the local people itself, right? They need to utilize the resource. I mean, cannot be like too because over depletion of the resource. Okay, they need to carefully utilize the resource. Yeah, and then they need to balance. Okay, balance the need of humans and the resource, and also the need of the animals and plants. Because not only humans living in this Earth planet, but also other kind of living organisms. So that's why you need to balance the needs for both living organisms. Okay, and then you need to balance what the current populations and the future populations. Yeah. Okay. This is not come out in the exam before. Yeah, It do not come in exam before, so you just have a read for me. And then for this one, sustaining forest, right? In refer to forest, they are needed to produce a paper product and provide wood for timber. So this is usage of the forest, right? So much of the wood paper is now produced from the forest, which is replant single tree. So that you have what? You have the requires a replantation of tree. Yeah. Okay. So introduction of separate scheme to design to monitor logging company. Okay, so this is the sentence you can include in your answer. Yeah, you can write the educations. And then for this one, okay, this one exam come out about few times already. Sustaining fish source. So how we can able have a sustainable supply of the fish stock is okay, you can control the number of fish caught every year in the quota. That means that you cannot exceed the quota. Okay, the fisherman itself cannot exceed the quota. And then they control the size of fish caught. Okay, so how they can control the size of fish caught? Is by the net. Okay, the size of the net. Size of the net. Something like this. Okay, so this is a net, right? Okay, this is a net with a bigger hole. This is a net with a smaller hole. Okay, so you can see, right, smaller hole. So that's why they prefer. Okay, they prefer the net with a bigger hole, not the smaller hole. Do you know why? It's because the net with bigger hole, right? They can avoid to trap the small fish. Because they want to give opportunity for the small fish to grow, to reproduce, to produce more fish. And then they can control the time of the year of the fish can be caught. And then they want to restocking, okay, restocking, which is after they caught the fish, right? They need to restock it. I mean, they need to restock with the fish larvae, okay, fish larvae, which is a fish baby, to make them to grow back. And then you need to educations. Okay, so here's a point. So all those points you can write in your answer. If they ask you, okay, if the exam asks you how to ensure the sustainable fish stock. Okay, and then for this one, conservation of the endangered species. Okay, what's by endangered species? Which is the animal species, right, as a risk of becoming extinct. Actually, not only animal, but also plant. You know, some of plant species, right, now already they're facing extinction due to the habitat destructions. Okay, so there'll be several reasons why the species can become endangered due to the population of the species can fall below the critical level. So here is the example of the reason. Okay, yeah, the reason. Yeah, the hunting, climate change, pollution, loss of habitat. This one, the introduction of non-native species. Okay, what I mean by this one? Introduction of non-native species, it refers to, okay, initially, right, this species, they are not grown in that particular environment. But due to the change in the environments, right, so suddenly once a days, that species, right, they just increase their number, okay, in that population, I mean, in that environment. So this is called non-native species, which is a newly inventing species to that particular area. So that's why they can compete the resource with the native species. So this one, native species, it refers to the species which is already grown on that particular environment for a long time already. So that's why introduction of this new non-native species, right, they can just compete the resource with native species. So that's why the native species, they will just die, okay, because they don't have enough resource. So this is a conservative measure, okay, education, captive breeding, monitoring, legal production, and the seed bank. Yeah, so here is the seed bank, okay, seed bank. This seed bank, okay, as I asked about this one time, which is they just preserve the plant species by preserving the seeds, okay, by preserving their seeds. So they just try to grow their seeds to produce their parent plant. Okay, so that's why a species can be becoming a risk if there's no enough genetic variation in the populations. Okay. And then the reason, okay, the reason why you need to do the conservation is you need to increase the biodiversity. Okay, you need to reduce extinction. You need to protect the vulnerable ecosystem. Yeah, and then you need to maintain the ecosystem functions. For example, you need to have a plant. Okay, you need to have a plant around this ecosystem, right? So that's why the plant, they will do what? They can do the complete nutrient cycling. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Also, you need to preserve the resource. Okay. So here's an example of answer that you can write. And then for this one, conservation technique. Okay. How you able to conserve your plant species or animal species? What can you do? Even though the plant and animal species, they're just facing extinction, or what you can do? So you can do this. Okay. The conservation technique, which is include the artificial insemination and the IVF, okay, in vitro fertilizations. Okay, and those are seriously, the scientists, right? Okay, I forget is what type of animal species, but I just remember, scientists, they want to conserve. Oh, I remember it's rhinoceros. Okay, this one, rhinoceros. The white rhinoceros, right? Right, rhinoceros. It is a species which is facing extinction. Yeah. So what the scientists do is they will do this breeding program. I think it's by using the IVF. Yeah, IVF, or I think it's IVF. Yeah. Okay. So that's why they just get the sperm. Okay, they just get the sperm from one male rhinoceros, and then they just get the ovum from the female rhinoceros. Yeah, and then they will do this. Okay, IVF. Okay, they use the sperm to fertilize the eggs cell in the lab, and then after that they will produce a diploid zygote, right? They will have this diploid zygote. So these diploid zygotes, they will do what? Okay, they can replant back to the uterus of the mother. Okay, see, implant back to the female for the developments. Okay, so this is called IVF. Another thing is you can do this AI. Okay, AI. AI, which is you are actually take out the sperm. It's not take out sperm. Okay, you actually withdraw certain amount of sperm from that male. You collect them. Okay, in the tube. Okay, in the tube. So later you insert the semen, right, into the vagina of the female. Okay, into the reproductive tracts. Yeah. So they got AI. Okay, AI refer to the yeah, which is this insemination, right, is being done artificially, because it's not by the natural production. I mean, it's not by natural reproduction. Okay, it's being done artificially, which is the scientists, they need to take some of the semen artificially from the male, and then they will use a tube. Okay, use a tube to deposit the semen on the vagina of the female to do the fertilizations. So that's why this is the advantage is they can reduce the need for transport animals. So that's why it'll be like increasing the conveniency for them to do this captive breeding programs. Because a lot of, why those animal species, right, they are unable to do the because natural breedings. Why they able to do the natural mating? Due to the various reasons. Okay, maybe some of the reason is the donor, right? The donor of the animal species, right? They're just facing extinction, and then sometimes they are very weak, they're very sick. So that's why they are unable to do the natural mating. So that's why the scientists, they need to use by this way. Okay, just extract the sperm and extract the ovum away from the animal species. Okay, so yeah, we'll finish discussing about this chapter already. Okay, and then now I want to show you some of the questions. Okay, because it's very important that you should know how to answer the questions. So I want to show you about the 2023 to 2025 the question. Okay, how it asks. Yeah, I think you haven't did the homework, right? Okay, you haven't did the homework. The paper 4. Okay, I think last week I do send you the homework for paper 4. Okay, remember to do it. Okay, remember to do it. Because I want to see how you answer the questions. Okay, for this one, 2025, this year, March questions, right? They show you about what? See, the microplastic. Okay, they show about microplastic. And then they show about this is a year, and then this is a mass of the microplastic. So you can see, right, the mass of microplastic, right, they just increase. See how they increase year by year. So suggest why the mass of microplastic between 2000s and 2020, which is between here and here, how is suggest why. Okay, they ask about why, which is explain. They ask you to explain. explain why they're showing the increasing trend from the 2000 to 2020. It's an estimate, okay? So the data is estimated because the ocean area, okay, is too large or too deep to measure completely. So some of microplastic, right, they might not, they have been eaten by the animal. So not all microplastic are being collected. Okay, so this is referred to the figure, okay? The figure in this 2000 and 2020 is an estimation. It does not represent an actual value. Because here is a factor, okay? The factors. Some of the microplastic being eaten, the area, the ocean area is too large or too deep. So they cannot get all of the microplastic. And then, okay, calculate the percentage, okay? So sometimes they will ask to calculate this one, okay? So calculate the predicted percentage increase of the mass between 2000 and 2040. Yeah, so you have about 2040 is about 1.6, okay? So that's why you need to look the value carefully at 1.7. And then how about 2000? 2000 is around 0.3 like that. Yeah, sorry, 0.2. Yeah, so that's why this is the answer that you get. 750 percentage, okay? Yeah. And then what's a producer? Okay, producer, you refer to the organism, they can make their organic nutrients. Okay, and that's why whenever I send you this document, you need to have a rule. You don't have the time to write. Okay, I know you don't have the time to write down the paper for, but at least you read it first. You read it first, and then you try few questions. And then you get on how to answer the question already. Because I just worry that if I send you the whole question with the answer, right, and then you didn't try by yourself, so you are still not sure how to answer. So that's why you need to practice paper 4. It's very important because paper 4 they occupy I think half mark of the IGCSE exam. It can determine you to get at A or B, right? So this is a producer, and then make it on organic nutrient. Okay, and also whenever you read on my answer, right? Okay, you can see, right, this word is bordered, right? Is bordered. Okay, this bordered words, right? Which is the word appear darker in the color, is actually the point being mentioned in the answer scheme. So that's why whenever the examiner mark, right, they need to see this point. Make their own nutrient, make their own organic nutrients from the sunlight by the photosynthesis. Okay, so here is the point. And then you can get 2 marks if you write the answer. And then see this one. Okay, how microplastic can end up in the consumer, such as in the birds. So you can see that microplastic is a non-biodegradable. It cannot be broken down, okay? So it's eaten by the fish and then eaten by the birds. Yeah. 2 marks, okay? 2 marks. And then this one, okay. Describe 3 ways the population of the sheer water birds can be conserved. So how you can conserve it? Okay, so can you mention that the monitoring species population. Okay, so you can use some equipment help to monitor their population size to track their number and their health. Okay, so it's very important to implement the idea of protecting the habitats. That you need to protect their habitat and nest, and then increasing the public education and awareness to reduce the human impact on the species. Okay, and also sometimes, right, you forget what kind of point to write. You can just write education. At least you got 1 point. Okay, well, education is a very useful answer to be applied in this ways to conserve the species, way to reduce the pollutions. So you can write the public education and also the awareness. And then, okay, for this one, captive breeding program, which is the IVF, okay, and also the AI, okay, the AI, artificial insemination. So they can help to boost the population number safely. And then you need to have a strict law, okay, strict law to prevent the poaching and the hunting of that species. Okay, and then for this one, explain the risk to the population of its population size decrease. So a small population, they just suffer from reductions in the genetic variations, right? So this will lead to the inbreeding. Because when you decreasing your population number, okay, you will reducing the genetic variations because you are actually reducing their number. So this will reduce the size of gene pool. Okay, this limiting gene pool refer to that actually reduce the size of gene pool. So this will lead to the inbreeding. Okay, where the closely related individual max. Yeah. So here's a point that you can write. Okay, and also when you answer, right, just refer to the how many mark given. Okay, so if they give 3 mark, just under 3 or 4 point is enough for you already. So that's why I just write here as an extra point. Okay, so you can read by yourself. And then for this one, okay, require some calculations. Okay, so calculate the percentage of energy transfer between the trophic level 2 and 3, right? How you're able to calculate this one? You need to refer to the energy, okay, at a higher level over the energy at the lower level. So the higher level is built to this one, 822 over 9804. So that's why you get about 8%. 8%. So actually being discrete due to what? Okay, due to the I think this one last time we discussed already. Yeah, okay, can read by yourself. Okay, for this one, the population, okay, the populations. So the population is a group of organisms of that one species living at the same area and then at the same time. And then they ask you to describe and explain for the graph X, right? Okay, what happened around here, okay, which is around here. So you can see there's the lag phase, log phase, and then we call it a stationary phase, okay? We can have a look what happened. So initially, the population increased, and then they reach a plateau stage. And then the birth rates increase, right? Plateau. So which is here, see, they actually increase, but they reach about plateau, which is almost remains static because plateau. So it's because that first the birth rate exceeds the mortality rate because there's a plenty of resource and there's no competition for the food and space. But whenever the population just increasing their number, the resource become limited and the competition increase. Okay, so that's why the competition is being increased due to when you're increasing the number of living organisms, they just compete for the resource. So that's why they will cause the birth rate and the mortality rate become more equal whenever they reach this plateau stage. So after they just pass through the plateau stage, right, they will enter to the because a decreasing phase. This one. I forget the name of phase. Which is this one. The phase name. Yeah, the death phase. Okay, so you can see in the death phase. So in the death phase, right, that's why you can write that the organism which is dying is acid. The organism is being born. Okay, so that's why I use the point. Okay, birth rate and the death rate is equal in the stationary phase. And then death rate is greater than birth rate when they enter the death phase. Okay, and then for this one, 2025 June, they give you a plant. Okay, at this one, I just noticed that recently the exam, right, they like to come out this kind of question. Hydrophyte and xerophyte. So that's why we need to read the chapter 18. Okay, the hydrophyte and xerophyte part. Very important. Okay, so okay, this is water lily. Okay, the label D is what? Label D is air space. So you can see this is air space. See the empty space inside is the air space. So the air space they can do what? They can provide the buoyancy to help the leaf to float. Okay, so inside air space there's a lot of air inside, so that's why it can make the leaf become very light and floats. And also the air space, right, they can allow the diffusion of gas for the photosynthesis. Also division of water for the transpiration. Okay, I hope you still remember, which is whenever the water they just pass by the osmosis, right, and get into the air space. Okay, see, it's by what? Evaporations. From the water become water vapors. So inside the air space, right, they will have a lot of water vapors, which is a kind of gas. Okay, water vapor is a gas. Yeah, so later the water vapor will be diffused out through the strata to the outside surrounding. Okay, so this one, diffusion of gas for the photosynthesis. Okay, the addition for water lily, so we can read by ourselves. So just remember that water lily is just hydrophyte. Okay, it's a floating plant. So they do not need to prevent the water loss So that's why they use a thin cuticle, okay, thin cuticle with a less resource to produce and allow more light to penetrate the placer area for the photosynthesis. Because the question asking about this one, water lily have a very thin cuticle than the plant growing on the land. And that's why, because that we learned before, right? We learned about the terrestrial plant, which is a plant just grow on the land. This kind of plant, right? They will have a thicker cuticle on their layer. So that's why, because why they need to have thick cuticle? Because they want to reduce water loss. But the water lily itself, since it's already grown inside the water, so they are not worried to have, I mean, they are not need to require to prevent water loss. So that's why they have a very, very thin cuticle just to allow the light to pass through them to do the photosynthesis. And also, okay, water lily itself, they have a stomata on the upper surface. Okay, so I'm not sure you can see from this picture. You can see the stomata in this picture. Oh, I think it didn't show it. Around here, okay, see around here. So which is at the upper surface, yeah. Okay, yeah, so it's because the lower surface on the surface of water, okay, yeah. So that's why in the lily, water lily, stomata is located on the upper epidermis, not on the lower epidermis. It's because if they located on lower epidermis, the stomata unable to do a gas exchange because it's being sink by the water. It's already in contact with water. Okay. Okay, so this one you can read by yourself. They just ask you to, okay, they ask you to compare different type of plant, pondweed and the water lily. So you need to compare and then explain why there's stomata density found in two different hydrophyte. Because when you see this pondweed and the water lily, okay, pondweed is just underwater, which is there just submerged. It's a kind of submerged plant, just grow inside the water. So that's why they don't have stomata density on the leaf surface. However, in the water lily, right, the upper leaf surface, yeah, they will have a stomata. Okay, so you need to explain. Okay, explain why. Because pondweed is submerged in the water, so there's no stomata for the gas such as carbon dioxide, oxygen. So that's why the oxygen, right, or any kind of gas, they can just diffuse from the leaf. Diffuse from the water to the leaf. Just so that's why they just absorb the dissolved oxygen in the water. They're not require any stomata. Okay. And then this is, see, so that's why this is the example of question they will ask. They will just show you a picture like this. Okay, they show you a picture like this, and then you need to answer the question. Yeah, so you can see it's a waterlogged soil contain a very low concentration of oxygen. Yeah, because waterlogged soil, right, is a very muddy soil. Okay, this kind of muddy soil, right, they will have very, very less oxygen inside. Yeah, so that's why so suggest how this limit the amount of proteins a plant can make. So you know that plant, they only can make the proteins from what? From the nitrate source. Okay, they only can make the protein from the nitrate source. So in the waterlogged soils, since you have a lesser oxygen, right? So you're actually reducing the rate for the aerobic respirations. Reducing the rate for aerobic respirations, so you actually have less energy. So whenever you have less energy, right, you have less active transport to occur. Because your root hair cell, so remember your root hair cell, they need to absorb they need to take in the nitrate ions by what? By the active transport, right? And then this require the ATP energy, which is generated from the respirations. Since you have less energy, right, you have less transportation of the nitrate ions into the root hair cell of plants. So if you get the less amount of nitrate ions, because you don't have energy to transport them, so that's why you absorb less nitrate ion. So you have a less protein synthesis. Okay, yeah. So how many marks? 3 marks. So like this is enough for you already. 3 marks. Okay, but in the answer scheme, right, they will give another additional answer. Okay, so in these conditions, there may be more denitrifying bacteria presence. So they might be also less nitrogen fixing bacteria. So this result in fewer nitrate ions in the soil available for the plant. Why they will have a less nitrogen fixing bacteria? because nitrogen-fixing bacteria, what they do is they actually converting the N2 gas, okay, the nitrogen gas become the ammonium compound, right? Become the ammonium compound, yeah, NH4 plus. So later they will do the nitrifications. Yeah, so it's because they don't have enough supply of the nitric ion. Okay, so that's why they will also have a less nitrogen-fixing bacteria due to the less nitric ions available for the plant. So yeah, give it some time. Okay, I just finished. One more question. I think I finished one more questions. Okay. This is not hard for you. Just read by yourself. Okay. Yeah. The cost. Yeah. The human activity. And then this one. Okay. This is a carbon cycle. Okay. So that's why exam they like to ask these two cycle, nitrogen cycle and the carbon cycle. So you can see this carbon cycle. What they are doing is the carbon dioxide absorbed by the plant by the photosynthesis. And then animal they just release out the carbon dioxide by the respirations. And then fossil fuel, they will, during the combustion, they will release the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. So this is the carbon cycle. Okay, so how deforestation can contribute to increase in the global temperature? 3 marks. Yeah. So deforestation, right? You cut out the tree, so you actually decreasing the photosynthesis happen. So less carbon dioxide is removed away from the atmosphere because you have lesser plant already. So additionally, you do the combustions of the combustion and decomposition of the felled tree, right? The felled tree. Because after you do the deforestation, okay, you burn the tree, right? So that's why you release more carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. So this carbon dioxide, see, they trap the heat. So this is a keyword you should include in your answer: trap heat, and then lead to enhanced greenhouse effects. Okay, so this is a effect of deforestation. Yeah, so just include those in answer. Okay, loss of habitat, reduce biodiversity. Okay, 3 marks. Then let me show you one more question. Where is it? Okay, this one. I think last week I discussed with you already. You can have a read about yourself, so you can see how fishing can be managed to promote the conservation of fish stock. So how you can conserve your fish stock, right? So you can setting quota, close seasons, using a larger net size, which is a larger net size, okay, largest net size to prevent trapping on the small fish. Prevent overfishing, allow fish time to breed. Okay, so here is a see, this is the cycle for the eutrophications. So eutrophication, what they do is whenever the fertilizer enter the lake, right? So it will increase the concentration of the nitrate ions, which is the nutrients level in the water. So it will cause the growth of the algae, okay, or the any kind of producer on the surface of the lake increase. So they just block the light from entering the water in the lake. So it's like the underwater producer, which is the plant grow underwater, just die because they cannot do the photosynthesis. So when they die, they will undergo the decompositions. So it will encourage the growth for the algae respiration, right? So that's why the bacteria decomposer, they just use the oxygen for the respiration. So that's why they can compete the oxygen with the underground living organism. So that's why they can result in the death of the organism requiring dissolved oxygens. So it's very simple, right? Just need to know how to answer me. Okay. So the sigmoid curve, the initial phase is the lag phase. The factor. So you can say that the factors. The factor they can cause the bacteria to die during the death phase, right? So you need to what? Build up of toxins or the waste. So this is a factor. Okay, which is just how you just learn it, right? Okay, so that's why following by that, okay, and that's why I just give you homework and then you can try to finish it, okay? You just need to try about 3 questions, okay? I just give 3 questions to you. I'll just send in the WeChat. You can try to finish it. Try to write your own sentence, and then you can send me send the answer to me before next class. So this one I'll just leave for you to draw, okay? Draw the food web. Okay, so this one they just like asking you to predict, okay, what happens if there's over harvesting of some organism. So you can say that other organism they will be increasing or decreasing. So what about decomposer? Decomposer is they'll just get their energy from the dead and waste organic material. So that's why you need to define, know how to define the producer, the decomposer. Okay, and then for this one, yeah, I think it's not. Okay, for this one, okay, this question, the percentage of the lands covered by forests in the country, okay, from 1650 to 2000s, yeah, 2000s. So using the information state which 10-year periods they have a higher increase in the percentage of land covered by forests. So here is it. Oh, yeah, higher increase rate refers to this one here. Because when you see the graph, right, it's steadily increase in their gradients. Okay, so outline the human activity can cause a change in the percentage of land cover. So that's why those are the activity. Okay, yeah. And then for this one, okay, suggest why many plants can easily conserve using the seed bag. So because the seeds is very small, easy to collect. Okay, seed bank, which is they refer to, they want to conserve the seed of that plant because later they need to grow back the plant species. And also seed, they can store in the dormant state because the seed, right, they just require very low metabolism. That's why you can keep the seed in your refrigerator, right? And then you, when you take them out from the refrigerator, you just provide them with the water, the moisture, so they can grow back. And then they just require very little maintenance. So this will provide them with conveniency if they want to do a seed bag. Okay. Okay, why the conservation projects are very important for the seed banks? So it's very important to maintain the biodiversity, how to protect the vulnerable ecosystem. So you can see these highlighted words, right, is being written in the answer scheme. Okay, so that's why you need to write this word. So they just support the recycling nutrient in the environments. Yeah, supporting the flow of energy within the foods. Okay. Okay, finish. Yeah, that's all for today. And then before we end our class, right, I want to let you know a thing. Wait. Okay, this one. Okay, for information, you can refer to your Google Classroom, right? And then you can go to the classwork sections, and then I have updated this one for you. Okay. So whenever you do the revision from chapter 1 until chapter 20 and 21, you just refer to here. Okay, this one. Okay, where is it? Let me open one document. Why I cannot open it? Okay, so this is just a quiz card. Okay, quiz card. Because this one is designed based on the syllabus. Okay, based on this syllabus. Yeah, this syllabus. Okay, sorry. Let me show you an actual one. So because you don't have time to read on the notes, right? So I would suggest you to read based on this one. Okay. So for example, the chapter 2. Just read based on this one, the chapter 2. Yeah. I mean, you need to know how to write the definition. Okay, it's very important. You should know how to write the definition. Okay, for example, the partial chloroplast, those are definition. Just have a read on those definitions, especially for the sum of chapter. Okay, like the chapter 7. So this is chapter 7. Okay, human nutrition. So you need to, and then some of the question, right, I have marked with the star here. Can you see my star? See this one. Star like this. Okay, so this star, right, which is commonly come out in the exam. So you need to know about the definition. Okay, definitions. Okay, that's all. And then happy study. Okay. Later I will send you paper 4. Okay, and then you try to do it. Okay, bye. Merry Christmas. Bye.